DW Africa Link.
The time in our studios is exactly 5 p.m. A very warm welcome to DW's Africa Link program this Tuesday, the 24th of March. My name is Isaac Mugabi.
And I am called Mimi Mefo. Do stay safe wherever you are from the coronavirus pandemic. Remember to join us on our Facebook page, DW Africa. Please do drop your comments on the topic that we are covering today.
And coming up on the program, veteran Afro jazz star Manu Dibango becomes the latest musician after Congolese star Alus Mabele to die from the coronavirus. Let's listen to his music.
We hear more on this program. Now, South Africa's coronavirus cases leaped to over 500, the most of any country on the continent. Please rush. People are rushing to prepare for a lockdown that begins tonight.
I have accordingly directed the South African National Defence Force to be deployed to support the South African Police Service in ensuring that the measures we are announcing are implemented.
And these are some of the stories that we've lined up for you today. Isaac.
DW News.
And yes, indeed, Mimi, it's time for the DW News in brief. The Tokyo Olympic Games have been postponed to next year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This was agreed after talks between Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and the International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach. It will be the first time in history that the Games are delayed during a period of peace in the world. Confusion rippled through Britain a day after Prime Minister Boris Johnson ordered a 3-week halt to all non-essential activity to fight the spread of the new coronavirus. The government also ordered most stores to close, banned gatherings of 3 or more people who don't live together, and told everyone apart from essential workers to leave home only to buy food and medicines or to exercise. Well, in the meantime, as the coronavirus continues to Europe remains the hardest hit part of the world. In Spain alone, the number of deaths rose to around 2,700 as infections surged towards 40,000 cases. The new figures came as Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez was to seek parliamentary approval to extend the state of emergency for 2 more weeks in a bid to slow the spread of the virus. Still on the pandemic, Cameroonian Afro jazz star Manu Dibango has become the latest celebrity to succumb to the coronavirus. The 86-year-old musician spent several days at a hospital in France prior to his death. This news comes to you from our studios in Bonn, Germany. Authorities in Mozambique are investigating the death of 64 undocumented migrants, the majority of whom are believed to be Ethiopians. Immigration officials found their bodies in a shipping container on the back of the lorry that had crossed into Mozambique from Malawi. 14 others were found alive in the container. Mozambique is a known trafficking route for people hoping to get to South Africa, one of the continent's largest economies. Suspected jihadist insurgents have killed at least 17 Nigerian soldiers in an ambush on their convoy in the northeast of the country. Several other soldiers were injured and some more were taken captive during the attack. The insurgents fired rocket-propelled grenades at a rally the troops were traveling on near Golji village in Borno State. And finally, football star Cristiano Ronaldo and football agent Jorge Mendes joined forces on Tuesday to donate life-saving equipment to Portuguese hospitals struggling to treat patients with coronavirus. The two will donate equipment for 2 wards at Lisbon's Santa Maria Hospital, providing the wards with 10 beds each, ventilators, heart monitors, infusion, pumps and syringes, according to a hospital statement. For more news, visit our website dw.com.
And you are listening to the DW Africa Link program. We are coming to you live from our studios in Bonn, Germany. I am Mimi Mefo.
And my name is Isaac once again. Remember, you can contribute this show by going to our Facebook page, DW Africa. And also remember to keep your comment brief. Tell us also where you're listening to us from, and we will give you a shout out. Now, without much ado, we begin today's program on a rather sad note: the passing away of veteran Afro jazz star Manu Dibango after contracting the new coronavirus. The 86-year-old Cameroonian, best known for the 1972 hit Soul Makossa, is one of the first worldwide stars to die because of COVID-19.
His biggest hit was the B-side of a song to support the Cameroon football team in the African Cup of Nations, but was picked up and popularized by New York DJs. In 2009, he accused Michael Jackson of borrowing one of his hooks for two songs on the legendary Thriller album. Jackson settled out in court. Eddie Micah Jr. has the details.
Manu Dibango, a saxophonist, was one of the pioneers of Afro jazz with his own style of fusing funk with traditional Cameroonian music. His biggest hit was the B-side of a song to support the Cameroon football team in the Africa Cup of Nations. His death has dealt a major blow to his fans around the world, including former Cameroon football team captain Samuel Eto'o and Congolese musician Kofi Olomide. The music fraternity will not forget Manu Dibango anytime soon. In the meantime, the Nigerian president's chief of staff has tested positive for coronavirus, according to a source with direct knowledge. The illness of Abba Kyari, who is in his 70s, brings the disease into the immediate circle of 77-year-old President Muhammadu Buhari. Kyari has a history of medical complications, including diabetes, and is the gatekeeper to the president. Many who wish to deal with Buhari must go through Kyari, including Nigeria's top politicians and business persons. He traveled to Germany in early March with a delegation of other Nigerian officials for meetings with Siemens AG. It is unclear if he self-isolated upon his return to Nigeria. Nigeria's Minister of Health, Usagi Ehanire, spoke to the media and confirmed the first death from coronavirus.
36 cases have been confirmed in Nigeria. 2 have been discharged after successful treatment, and 1 death has been recorded from COVID-19 in Nigeria. Of the presently 33 active cases, 32 are clinically stable with mild symptoms only, and 1 patient is dependent on oxygen. Very importantly, I urge all Nigerian residents to take self-isolation and social distancing very seriously in order to prevent the spread of this disease in our country.
And Ghana's coronavirus cases hit 52. This is according to Ghana's Minister of Health, Kweku Agyeman-Manu.
Eddie Micah Jr. with that report. To South Africa now, where coronavirus cases have leapt again to 554 to be specific, the most of any country in Africa, as its 57 million people rush to prepare for a lockdown that begins Thursday. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Monday night announced the 21-day lockdown. Rwanda and Tunisia earlier announced similar lockdowns.
Now, workers in South Africa would be required to stay home except for those in essential services, including healthcare and security, as well as the production and distribution of food, utilities and medical products. Tuzo Kumalos in Johannesburg went to gauge people's reactions and now fight this report.
Manu Dibango, a saxophonist, was one of the pioneers of Afro jazz with his own style of fusing funk with traditional Cameroonian music. His biggest hit was the B-side of a song.
Apologies for that mix of a report. We shall come back to it whenever we can. It is a report about South Africa and how they're going to deal with a lockdown that starts on Thursday. And if the technician, it's already now, let's listen to Tuzo Kumalo in Johannesburg.
You can't control we can control the rate in the population, and that's what we should be doing, whether that's by legislation or enforcement or otherwise, because at the moment it's not working.
The British Prime Minister has faced criticism that his wait-and-see policies were dangerous. Now he's decided to follow the lead set by European countries and order a lockdown.
We will immediately close all shops selling non-essential goods, including clothing and electronic stores, and other premises, including libraries, playgrounds and outdoor gyms and places of worship. We'll stop all gatherings of more than 2 people in public.
A major focus of the response to the outbreak, Britain's overstretched National Health Service, the NHS. Volunteers bring free food for nurses at the front line of the pandemic. Johnson says the whole country should act in solidarity with the medical professionals.
Each and every one of us is now obliged to join together to halt the spread of this disease, to protect our NHS and to save many, many thousands of lives.
The government is also moving to get supplies of protective gear to staff treating coronavirus patients.
That was a report by Paul Hist. Now, let's see whether we have the story from South Africa. Okay, now I think, Mimi, let's go ahead. We are experiencing a technical glitch, but we shall see whether it can be verified in the next coming minutes. We've been talking about the spread of the coronavirus. News coming in now is that the province at the center of China's coronavirus outbreak is to lift travel restrictions on Wednesday, that's tomorrow. The 50 million people of Hubei province have been under lockdown for 2 months. Those in the capital Wuhan will have to wait another 2 weeks before they are allowed to travel. But the easing of restrictions seems to be a sign of progress in China's battle to defeat the coronavirus. That is news coming in. And Mimi, we have a story also from Nigeria, don't we?
Certainly, Isaac. We have this report from Nigeria talking about dozens of Nigerian soldiers who were killed in an ambush that was on their convoy by jihadist fighters in Borno State. That was on Monday yesterday. 2 military officers told the international media houses that without giving their names, that so far 7 bodies were recovered. And we have reactions.
Yes, we have reactions indeed. We have someone here called Charles Anthony. He says Nigerians will gladly welcome anything that will help them to change the system in order to solve the security situation in the country there.
And we also have Ambazonian who says that imagine having a general as a president who cannot defeat Boko Haram. Is that one a general, he asked.
Okay, well, it's about the story now on the Nigeria's president's chief of staff who has tested positive. It's also a story that is coming in right now. And the illness of Abba Chari, who's in his 70s, brings the disease into the immediate circle of 77-year-old President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, Mimi, many reactions coming in are like, people have to get tested once they come from abroad. It's understandable that the chief of staff traveled to Germany and other countries and he didn't get tested as advised.
We are facing a similar situation as well in Cameroon with the president of the National Assembly who had to go to parliament without getting himself tested officially. He might have gone to the hospital, but many Cameroonians were questioning whether it was officially done because many other people could be contaminated, if at all he is infected by the virus.
And someone called Shedrack Chukwuzi says, thank God, no foreign medical trips again. We all must remain here in order to stay safe. Elugu Kenechi thinks that it is fake news, that they just want to divert the money, the billions they say Nigerian government will bring out to tackle the virus. He says they want to pocket it out. I don't know how far true he is. That is. But if it should be, he says, glory be to God all in all.
We have also reactions from people in Cameroon following the demise of Manu Dibango. According to Blessed Neighbor, we lost our legend in Cameroon.
Stay with us until the end to give you a whole glimpse of Manu Dibango, the man and the music. Will be back.
And in case you're just tuning in, you are welcome to the Africa Link program. We are coming to you live from our studios in Bonn, Germany. My name is Mefo.
And I'm Isaac Mugabe. As usual, you can always be part of the debate by joining us on Facebook, DW Africa.
Certainly, Isaac, we are going to be having a lot of reports in the minutes ahead. And in the next 15 minutes, we tell you how people in Europe are adjusting to life as cases of coronavirus soar.
The lockdown is, of course, something new for Europeans. We have never experienced that. My mother has never experienced it, and her grandmother has never experienced any lockdown in that form. And that, of course, creates a number of challenges.
We are also going to bring a story of how people can farm without posing a threat to the environment. A Nigerian environmentalist is creating that awareness. But first, this story of close to a dozen Burundian students who attend school in Rwanda and are now stranded in the capital Kigali after the Rwandan government closed all schools countrywide for 2 weeks in an effort to curb the spread of the coronavirus.
The students were left between the Rwandan and Burundian border when they refused to be quarantined by the Burundian health officials. The Burundian students are now in the hands of Rwandan authorities who say that they are ready to keep them until they are safe to return home. Alex Ngarambe reports from Kigali.
Burundi is yet to register a case of coronavirus, but their authorities are taking no chances. 11 of its students who are studying in Rwanda have been barred from entering the country. It is one of the measures the country is putting in place to prevent the spread of coronavirus into the country from neighboring Rwanda, where over 35 cases have been reported. Claudette Irere, Rwanda's Minister of Education, says they are ready to accommodate them.
If they don't have families here in Rwanda, they're very welcome to stay. We've talked to schools. We know where they are. We're giving them all we can give to them.
Travelers from Burundi are being quarantined for 14 days, but these students have fears of being isolated. Minister Claudette Irere says the students may be allowed to go home soon as Rwandan government is establishing contact with their families.
Yeah, it's not that they don't have anywhere to go. It's just that they are afraid that they will be quarantined because of the pandemic, the coronavirus.
Efforts to talk to the students were fruitless as they are protected by government for safety. Clover Niyonkuru, a Burundian refugee in Rwanda, has mixed reactions towards this government's measure to fight the new virus.
Ico gikorwa ndagifata mu ngero zibiri.
I welcome the move as well as condemn it. It's a good decision from the Rwandan government that accommodated the children. I also condemn it based on the Burundian government's decision. They should have sent the children to their families or test them to see if they are infected with coronavirus or not.
So far, the government of Rwanda says it has tested over 1,000 suspected cases of coronavirus and 36 persons have been infected, with 11 of them in stable condition.
Alex Ngarambe reporting there. We hope that very soon the students will find their way home into Burundi.
Africa on the move.
Now, conventional mass farming methods often have a negative impact on the soil, but it remains a common practice in some parts of Africa.
A Nigerian environmentalist is now training people on how they can improve farming methods without posing a threat to the environment.
Assumpta Latus reports that he is also advocating for a better system that connects farmers to wholesalers.
We have to think about all these other organisms, all these other things that are still using this earth to sustain themselves.
That is Edu Okpanaya, a Nigerian environmentalist who trains rural people to farm their crops using sustainable organic methods. Okpanaya patiently explains why organic farming is better for the environment.
If you use chemical to do this farming, you see when rain comes, it washes everything down to the river.
To show how it's done correctly, Okpanaya mixes water and organic fertilizer in a water container in front of other farmers. Neem tree and other plant extracts make up the organic fertilizer, which the farmers then spray the mixture on their fields. But Okpanaya is not just hands-on. He also has his eye on the bigger picture.
Now we've talked about climate change and the ecosystem that is being at risk. So we want to start up on our own aspect of agriculture to caution it.
After realizing that over time farmers using chemical fertilizers were degrading the soil, Ogbanaya founded the non-governmental organization Farm Awareness in 2012. Ogbanaya explains how sustainable farming cooperatives can lead to bigger yields. He then holds a training course. Since 2012, his NGO has trained around 9,000 farmers.
Because most of us we farm, but we don't know the effectiveness in farming. But with this one coming to create awareness to us, so from this next season, at least most of us will improve on our farming system.
The organic fertilizer Farm Awareness sells is more affordable for the small-scale farmers. They need just a fraction compared to the equivalent chemical fertilizer. Farmers can also buy it from the NGO at a subsidized rate, about €7 per litre. Alexander Ahan has farmed organically for the last 2 years after receiving training from Farm Awareness. This season, he is planting cassava.
The club I'm into, that is what he wants. So immediately I apply, he gives me a result.
The NGO wants to sell its fertilizer internationally, but Nigeria has no organic certification system. This means Farm Awareness cannot sell its product overseas, and so financing remains a challenge for the NGO.
Assumpta Latus with that report. We welcome your comments on the stories that we are going to cover, or we still have to cover on the show. Remember that at the end of the program, we shall pay a special tribute to veteran Afro jazz musician who passed away today because of the coronavirus in Paris. And that is none other than Manu Dibango, the man, the music, and the saxophone. Stay with us to get a glimpse to hear some of his best music that he started with, that is Soul Makossa. But we'll be back right after this.
Focus Europe.
We are now talking about what's happening in Europe, but still on the coronavirus. To mitigate the health and socio-economic impact of the disease across Europe, governments have so far set aside series of measures, one of them being social distancing and staying indoors.
With over 8,700 deaths across Europe due to the virus, it has become challenging but essential to respect the measures.
What is European Union, or what is the EU's response to coronavirus, and how are people in this part of the world adjusting to life? Those are some of the questions that I put to DW's George Mantes in Brussels. Take a listen.
There's a wide range of measures for what the EU is preparing to limit the spread of the disease, and there is, for instance, a lockdown of the external borders for 30 days. There's an economic stimulus package of 750 billion euros launched by the European Central Bank, and there's medical supplies and vaccines that the European Union will stockpile. In case of vaccines, they will finance any research that goes into finding a vaccine against the virus. And then you have the repatriation of citizens, so bringing back tourists from all around the globe, and the EU pays for 75% of the cost.
Tell us how people are adjusting to life in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak.
Sure, the lockdown is, of course, something new for Europeans. We have never experienced that. My mother has never experienced it, and her grandmother has never experienced any lockdown in that form. So since a week, I have my kids home for homeschooling, and I've heard from many other parents that, of course, that is a big challenge. You are allowed to go out, actually, in your close park and do a bit of physical exercise, but otherwise people are practically confined to stay home in order to flatten the infection curve. And that, of course, creates a number of challenges. You're allowed to go shopping, but people have to queue with a 1.5 meters distance. Only a certain number of people, one person per 15 square meters, are allowed to go into shopping centers. And of course, mentally, it's also challenging if you're in a 4 or 3 room apartment in a big block, and you're supposed to stay at home with your 3 kids. At the moment, the lockdown in Belgium is on the 5th of April, but it might be prolonged. So that is, of course, mentally also challenging.
Countries like France and Holland, for instance, have expanded on previously imposed lockdown. How long would the people be able to stay confined or indoors?
Well, for the moment, it's in Brussels. It's until the 5th of April, but it really depends how the situation develops. What all European countries are concerned is ending up in a situation like Italy, where so many people have been affected that the number of people who need treatment in hospitals just goes through the roof. And that is what everybody's trying to avoid here.
Would you say that this decision to keep people indoors is paying off? Is it having an impact on the figures?
Yesterday, the number of people who died in Belgium was lower. And there was for a moment the hope that it's already that the first week of lockdown is already showing effect. Today the number was higher again. So we'll just have to wait for this week. Will be really crucial to see whether the lockdown for Belgium, but also for many other countries in Europe, has to be extended.
I was speaking there to DW's correspondent that is in Brussels, there, Isaac.
Yes, I like the comments that George Mattes was making about the lines, also telling us about his personal way of handling the situation, homeschooling his kids. I think, Mimi, one thing that we have to appreciate is that people have tried to stay away, to stay home and stay away of the streets and the city, walking around, and rather concentrate on staying safe at home with their loved ones. I find that laudable.
Exactly, like I've always said, health first. Mm-hmm. People have come to understand that it's more important and safer to stay at home because it's going to be healthier for them than go out there and be infected by the virus as authorities are trying to contain further spread.
And news coming in, Mimi, which I would like to break to our listener, is that EU finance ministers will discuss special crisis measures to help European countries withstand the economic shock of the coronavirus outbreak. But according to reports, powerful Germany, that's how they put it, is cautioning against unreasonable expectations. That meeting is going to take place this evening. They bring together EU finance ministers. And also some news coming in very quickly, Mimi, the story about the German army shipment of 6 million face masks needed to protect against the novel coronavirus has vanished in Kenya.
That is quite strange, Isaac, and the News Weekly has also reported that a mask went missing at the Kenyan airport at the end of last week. It was not immediately clear why the shipment was transiting via the East African country. A lot of reactions on our Facebook. According to Ignatius Dakar, where was the shipment coming from in the first place for it to find its way in Kenya en route to Germany? That's the question.
Well, we shall let that debate continue there on our Facebook page. But before we wind up this edition, let's bring you the story of the day. Veteran Afro-jazz star Manu Dibango died on Tuesday after contracting the new coronavirus. His representatives have confirmed. We promise you some snippet of his music, but maybe Mimi read one comment from what people are saying about his death.
Ngam Linen says that what a loss. Cameroon and Africa at large heard of his death last week because, Isaac, people have been reporting about it since he wrote on his Facebook page that he contracted coronavirus, and it was a rumor, and when it was dispelled, people were happy that he is going to be well again, but then everybody woke up with the sad news this morning. Ngam says that rest in peace, legend, and for you, Corona, we would beat you, I promise you. That's the prayer of everybody.
Now first, Jamin says, great musical maestro, coronavirus has claimed another great African musician, Alus Mabere. Anyway, let's leave you to listen to the man and his music. And with that music of Manu Dibango, we come to the end of the show. My name is Isaac Mugabi.
And my name is Mimi Mefo. I should just add, Isaac, that an artist can die, but his music lives on. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.